Hello, Super Hockey Moms. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Deta Lamure, founder of Super Hockey Mom, where we basically help Christian moms who are overwhelmed to maximize their time so that they can manifest their God-given dreams. We are back with Super SWM Convos with fresh inspiration. The idea is we get to meet an ordinary mom or ordinary woman who is doing extraordinary things with the help of the Holy Spirit. A super SWM mom just like you. We hope that as we bring these conversations to you every other week, that you will be inspired to walk in your calling, to embrace your calling as well. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Bolanle. How are you, Bolanle?
I'm fine. I'm super well. I'm excited, actually. Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Daytola. Thank you.
Thank you for actually coming to have these conversations with us. So tell us a bit more about you. Who is Bolanle?
So my name is Bolanle Enang, and I've been thinking about how to introduce myself. I'm a child of God. I love God, and I think for me, that really is my first identity, the fact that God loves me. And every day I'm discovering more and more of his love for me. I'm the wife, the only wife of Daniel Enang. And Edidon Gabasi and Inemesit Abasi. I work with young people, I work with children, I work with teenagers, and then I work with parents and teachers. So basically, I call myself holistically a family life enthusiast with different diverse expressions. And I'm sure we'll get into the different expressions of what I do and who I am. But ultimately, I love God and I'm thankful. Thank you, Daytola. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Such an honor.
Yeah. So I think you told us a bit more about you, about what you do. But I want to drill it in. What would you say your calling is?
Holistically, in the last 2-3 years or so, my calling has been sharpened. I recall a few years ago, I read the book Outliers, and my husband and I were talking about it today. And at that time, I said to myself, I want to be known as a family expert. I didn't understand what that meant at all. But I said to him, in 5 years' time, I want to be one of those who, when you're talking about family, you want to refer to me. So what I do is beautiful. It's been a journey of discovery. As a teenager, I worked with children. As a 20-something-year-old, I did a lot of entertainment for children, even though I also worked in corporate. When I got married 10 years ago and I moved to South Africa, I moved to South Africa, yay, I'm a South African bride. I made up my mind I wanted to work with children, and I didn't know what that meant. But 10 years later, the calling has continued to unfold. So in one nutshell, I would say that my desire in life is to walk and work with families and people who work with families to become the strongest, greatest expressions or versions of themselves. And I do that in different ways. For example, I work as the head of an organization called Evangeli. I train Sunday school teachers and people who work with children and teenagers across South Africa. That's such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity God has given me. I had something called Capacity Growth Consult, and it's a family support leadership development organization for young people and for families. As ministry-wise, I work as a children's minister. I had a team of about 20-something people who work with kids. So basically, my life has become like different expressions of this one central thing, which is that children are important. And the people who work with them need to recognize how important children are and how they themselves need to be healthy to be able to produce godly and wholesome children. Does that make sense? So I've got different expressions of how that works for me. So that's why I'm a family life enthusiast. And I build people data. I do a lot of workshops, family life workshops, leadership workshops. There's a lot of teenage, because I really believe that we can build the world, a youth or a teenager, a child at a time.
Yeah. So tell me, when you work with families, for example, What
Yeah.
is the outcome that that family should expect? Like, what should be the difference of the transformation?
So every family is unique in itself. Every component of a family, mom, a dad, a child. For example, I grew up in a single parent home. Yeah. Our circumstance is very different from my cousins, different from my neighbors. And so for me, it is that a family comes to us and says, listen, I want to learn a bit more about so. I once read a quote that says, is your home life heavily or hectic? That pushed me into this thing that I do. So I do family life workshops. I do a particular signature workshop called The Table. And at the table, you actually decide who are we, what is our identity going to be? Who are we going to be? Because on 20 years over, what happened to us? Who are we? Where are we? Do you understand? So for me, it is that a family actually identifies and puts down a structure. This is who we are. This is who we believe God has called us to be. And then they begin to work towards that. So I work with the different parts of family, moms, dads, through workshops, children, by equipping the parents to work with their children. So usually I don't work directly with children, even though at church, which is my ministry, I work directly with children. But I found that the biggest thing is to work with the people who have the greatest influence over their children. And that makes it more holistic, that makes it more productive. And that's actually an effective structure. That's an effective structure. That's what I found.
Wow, it's amazing. The work that I feel God has given to you is amazing because you're dealing with the first unit for every child's life, before they go out into the world. So that is an important calling, a mountain, if I might call it, mountain of families that you're helping to basically instill values and influence their children before they now go out into society. So I feel that's totally awesome.
Absolutely.
So, Bolanle,
Absolutely.
you've shared,
Thank you.
this sounds all exciting and all, but I want us to take a step back and talk about the journey. Because one thing I've realized is that a lot of women, they see other women doing extraordinary things and they're like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Or they just admire it from a distance, but they don't know what's happening behind the scenes, all the struggles, the challenges. So can you just share, for example, you've already shared how you've always worked with children, since you were young, or how, I want you to kind of share with us your journey. How did you decide to embrace your calling in the first place? What are some of the struggles and challenges that you've experienced, and how have you overcome, or how are you dealing with challenges as they come?
Such a loaded question. Very interesting. And thanks for asking me. So, Daytola, the truth is that I don't even know that I'm doing extraordinary things.
Yes,
so I'm one of those people. Thank you. Thank you.
That's interesting.
Because
most people who are working in their calling don't think they're doing anything extraordinary, but you actually are.
Wow, thank you. That's very good. I own it. All right, I take it. Daytola, you're one of the people that I admire. My journey is not complete without you, Daytola Amore, without Super Working Moms, without the friend that actually introduced me to this group. So let's backtrack. So I've got a wonderful friend called Tony Oladiro, and I remember about 3 years ago, I was really now struggling with myself. So, in fact, let's go further back. At 4 years old, my parents got separated. Very terrible, very traumatic separation. And when I was 10, they got officially divorced. In a country where divorce was not rife, it wasn't something that was happening regularly. And in that society, it was so different. And so from an early age, I already felt that we were slightly different because we didn't come home to a two-parent home. That already did something to my mind. And now let me tell you the interesting part. Usually, people end up with their moms, right? For us, we ended up with my dad. All five of us were raised by my dad, who bless his heart. I love my father with all my heart, and I don't like to go there, but I honor him. I honor him for ensuring we didn't have a broken home. And this is very important. My parents were separated, divorced legally, but my dad ensured that we did not live in a broken home. So I used to say I'm not from a broken home. It's just that I live in a one-parent family. So that for me already told me, struck a chord within me, even as a child, as a 10-year-old, as a 15-year-old, that listen, your life is not just a function of you don't look like everybody else. Our circumstances were very different. So I didn't come home to my mom cooking for us. I came home to my dad being present and being involved and making the sacrifices and also allowing my mom to be part of our lives. So it was very interesting. I grew up going to see my mom coming to see us and not coming home and meeting my mom. So already I knew that families were different. And so my journey began. I've always loved children. I thought that being a pediatrician was something that God had called me to be, even as a child. So I always, if you ask me, in fact, I went to International School, University of Lagos. If you ask me in our yearbook, I wrote, I'm going to be a pediatrician. Well, I failed my physics and there went my dream. It crashed. But the point is that so the dream never left me. So I went to the corporate Nigeria and then I got married and I moved into South Africa. And I just knew that I wanted to work with children because I'd seen so many people who, even though they lived in a two-parent home, it wasn't a healthy environment. So I wondered, listen, how did my dad do it such that, yes, it wasn't 100%. I mean, it wasn't 100%. It's never 100%, is it? But how did he do it such that all five of us grew up loving each other, loving him, loving God, and still honoring and respecting my mother? How did this man do it? It made me look further into families. When I was about 12, I was doing a home fellowship and a child died. Home fellowship for children. And one of my kids died. When I went to TBN, I was sent to Louis Obala on TBN when he interviewed me. I said, you know, that thing changed my life. I realized children also die. So what can I do? How can I bring the gospel to children? So you see my journey, and then, so fast forward about 2-3 years ago, I was in a state. I'd lost myself, Detola. I was in a bad place. I reached out to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, I don't know what God is calling me to do, but all the things I've done so far, I've been a children's pastor, I've gone back to work. I'm not sure this is, and Tony said, there's a group I know, super working moms. I'm like, girls. I don't really do girls. I'm a boy, yeah, girls. Where are they online? I'm not an online human being. And she's like, no, let's try it, Bolanle. Can I tell you, nobody knows this, and I'm sure she will probably just not like this, but it's okay. I need to honor her. She said, you know what? I'll pay for your membership. Do it. And now when your friend tells you that, she's like, my sister, what excuse did I have? I didn't know my life was going to change. This is how I joined Super Working Moms. This is how I began to meet seemingly ordinary, because I don't think those chicks are ordinary, seemingly ordinary people who, you know what I noticed about Super Working Moms, Detola? These are ladies that actually want you to succeed.
Yeah.
These are ladies you can be yourself with. Yeah. There no airs. We would have meetings and people would either make up or be in PJs, and there was nothing like, oh, you look, no. It was such a loving environment, and I'd never experienced that online. And this is how my journey continued to evolve and evolve. And then, Desola, please forgive me. I have to talk about the mastermind class, the master class. You know that one? I did it beginning of last year. Now, guys, for those who are watching, so you see, Detola, I applied for a scholarship and it changed my life. So I couldn't afford, or at that time, there was just a lot of financial things going on in my life. So I applied for the scholarship. I saw it and I thought, I'll apply. And I got in. You know, this other thing changed my life completely. 90 days of sitting with fantastic, godly women, 6 of us, I think we were 6 plus you. People I've never seen physically in my life. We just used to do online master classes, and we began to challenge each other, and they began to grow me. I remember my first meeting, I thought, oh, people are just going to judge me. Because at that time, I was going through a lot. My life I'd lost myself. I was gone. And that has changed my life, those 90 days. Those ladies, in fact, you know the book I wrote?
Yeah.
They're there. I don't know if I ever told you. I actually acknowledged them, the 6 ladies in my class for Super Working Mom. No, I did. Because without them, this would never have happened. It was my dream. It was like a long shot goal. I'm like, I'm sure I will not achieve it. They pulled me. My life, my business, the ministry, everything changed. So that really is I know it's not a summary, but that's like from when I was young to now that I'm in my 30s, meeting people that I've met most of them physically, changed my life, began to encourage me. I really began to believe more in women because of Super Working Mom. I didn't like women. Because remember, my mom left, and I just thought, oh, girls. But here I am. That's my story.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's my story. I'm so blessed, so privileged, because that changed everything. So your next question, everything. Thank you, Toyin, for being there for me. Thank you.
A big thank you to you.
So that's my story.
Can you hear me? I think the connection is a bit wonky. Can you hear me? Hello, Bolanle.
But I can hear you. Yes, I can.
Okay, because you seem frozen. Okay, I think you're back.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Wow, thank you for sharing that. And I think one key thing I'm taking away from what you said is, even though along the way you kind of lost your way, you always knew there was an anchor point. You always knew that your calling had to do with families and children. And I guess it was from your own defining, your own journey of, your family life.
Yes.
And then the child died. That was a defining moment for you, isn't it? And then the other key thing I'm taking away is that you didn't try to do it by yourself. You formed a community, isn't it?
That's actually very key, Detola. What you just said is so key. Because you see, even the journey to now start writing a book, to venture out, to want to apply for the scholarship and all of those things came from a point of need in my life. I felt I didn't know enough. I don't know how to raise my kids. I didn't grow up with my mom. I don't know what to do. So I started reading. So you can say I'm a buffet. I read, this is like, just some, it's by my bed on the table. But the thing is, I started looking for knowledge. I didn't realize that in my need, in my quest for, I really want to do this right. I don't want to make mistakes, the mistakes my parents made, the mistakes that I see around me. I've seen people who have done it well. I've seen people who haven't. I want to learn. There's no one who won't make mistakes, but I want to learn. In that journey, Detola, my calling came through. So I started thinking, okay, the things I knew, I would share with friends, I'll share with people who even had children before me. And they'll be like, Bolanle, thank you, let me just, and I'm like, but they're like, no, I don't. I have a friend who thought that I was going to take a parenting course for my children's school. She's like, Bolanle, I can't make that meeting, but it's Bolanle that she will give me my own personal class. She's been married since 2001. She's got big kids. And even that from my friends, that validation in community, like they knew that I was always researching, always looking for, always observing, always asking questions. So people ask me questions. And in that began to birth the structure of Capacity Growth Consult. Because one day the Lord just said to me, Bolanle, why don't you turn Capacity Growth Consult into a family wellness organization? I said, Holy Spirit, what is that? I've never heard that before. Detola, literally, that night, I called Tony in the morning. Tony told me about Super Working Mom. Can you imagine? And that's how everything continued to almost like spiral, and it became all of this. So yeah, in my quest for knowledge, God brought people around me to help me get into the calling full time.
Awesome. Awesome. And you said something that is very, you invested in yourself. You didn't just wait around and say, God, give me the calling. And then, no, you started reading books. You were asking questions. You were, investing in yourself. And like you said, you joined the mastermind. You joined the academy. I think one thing a lot of people do is, because maybe for whatever reason, financially or whatnot, they already put themselves back and say, oh, I don't have the money. But then what you did was you took that step to apply, right? Because, and see where that landed you. So it's not, some people think when I have the money, then I would I would embrace my calling. It doesn't work that way. You need to step in, you need to dive in, and then the resources will come. The resources will come. Wow.
Yes, you're so correct. If I didn't make that step, I don't know, this book would never have happened. Then on our Facebook Live, I started doing workshops and sessions. Do you know how many people would say to me, Bolanle, we were waiting. When is the class? And I'm like, are you guys watching? They're like, yes. All across Nigeria, Australia, America. My sisters would tune in all over the world on their way to work, because we're in different time zones. On their way to, they'll tune in. And I'm like, is it that important? I didn't realize that there was a need out there. Do you see what I'm saying? I didn't know that there was a need, and people, and people began to, and I realized you always talk about your nation. You talk about that thing. There was one masterclass, I think you were talking to us about your own nation, your own tribe that God has called you into. I didn't realize that there were people who, like me, are looking. And
that's what the Bible talks about.
Blessed being part of this.
Yeah, that's what the Bible talks about, that the sons of men are waiting for the manifestation of, I'm paraphrasing here, but they're waiting because they need that help. And until we step into our calling, we cannot help our nation. And you know what, we can go on and on about this, but I'm conscious of time. So if people want to know more about their calling or about the Super Optimum Academy, which Bolanle mentioned, we'll put up the link so you can look at that. Yeah. So Bolanle, we're going to go a bit more personal now. I know you've actually shared some personal stuff with us. Thank you for being transparent and being vulnerable with us. But I wanted to ask, the other personal question I wanted to ask you is, have you experienced loss in your life, and how has that impacted you and the calling of God on your life?
Yes, I have, and I'll mention 3 of them. So the first one is when I said to you that one of the children that I used to do home fellowships for, I was about 11, 12 years old myself. I think he was about 7. When he passed on, it jolted me. I'd never experienced such a thing. That shook me. That actually registered in my spirit that I'm called to children, because a lot of people think it's babysitting. No, children are spirits. They also require wholeness. And I know what I went through as a child, not having a mom that I had, that quick access to. I needed to walk far to get to my mother. That's not an easy thing for a child.
That's actually a kind of as well.
It is. It is. It really is. Then the second loss would be loss of myself. It's like complete, I look at myself in the mirror, my eyes were dead. I lost myself. I lost my dreams. I don't know, things just happened. I've gone through the process by God's grace. I've sought help, which is the other thing I don't know that people seek a lot of help for. But I would look at my eyes in the mirror and I wouldn't recognize myself. I was gone. I lost myself. I lost my dreams. I lost the essence of me. Only thing that sustained me was God. Even my relationship with God began to fade, and that's my core. It was tough. And the last day I lost my nephew. And in fact, we found he was ill during my mastermind class. I remember that night when I came on to class and everybody was talking, I'm like, guys, I want to give up. And I thought these girls would just be like, yeah, it's okay, give up. They just began, no, Bolanle, you will not give up. You need to, I remember Tommy was really talking. She's like, no, you can't give up. And I'm thinking, do you guys understand? This is my nephew. We're a very close-knit family. This is my, but when he eventually passed on in September, I had a conversation with his mom to say she should start Bible club for kids. Can you believe it? She started Bible Club for Kids maybe 2 months before. No. She started Bible Club for Kids about a month after they diagnosed my nephew. During that period, this child is saying to his mom, please, mommy, go home. Go home to, and it was terminal. Go home, go and do the memory verse you taught him. That, like, you don't understand. That just, I'm thankful that she took on the courage to start the Bible Club. I'm thankful that, like me, the Bible Club that I started as a teenager has spurred me into this. And yeah, those are some of the things that make me realize that life is short. God has given us a lot. Even if we live 200 years, it's not enough to laze and start when you're 120. You know, we need to get on with the program from now. So
I know
that was tough for my family.
I know that was tough.
But he's in heaven.
That is tough, you know. And I guess the reason why I wanted to draw out about losses is that sometimes we would experience loss and pain on the journey, you know, but it's from a place of pain and adversity that callings are birth. I mean, look at your sister.
Absolutely.
From her pain, she was able to start. She looked.
Absolutely, Bitola.
Yeah. I'm nearly in tears because loss is, I think it's something that has become more, you know, prominent in my life. So it's also good to hear from others how they're dealing with loss or how they've dealt with loss. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back to happy. Being sad isn't bad.
There's gain in love.
Yeah, sure. You showed us your book earlier.
No, there's gain. There's gain in pain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell us a bit more about what is in the book and why we should get it and where we can get it from. Yeah.
Okay. So this is called The Power of the Table. And this was one of my goals. In fact, I finished the first draft of this in April, just at the end of the mastermind class, because the ladies were not going to let me go. I thought I would be free. They're like, no, you need to produce it. So I had to sit and write. And I never thought in my life that I would be pulling a book from my bookshelf as an author. And I really, like I said, I mean, part of my acknowledgement was really to the 6 girls that were at my master class. Okay, the class of Mastermind January 2018. Your names are all here, girls. Just say, and to super working mom, no, it's here. Because this was birthed from the table. Why? Have you noticed it, that we're very busy?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are running around, and people are also living under guilt. I'm not doing enough for my children. I'm not doing enough for my family. Only for me to discover as I continue to research, remember? As I continue to research, people began to talk to me about connection, about how this can help. Please, 1 second.
No worries. Yeah.
So I realized that over time, lots of guilt, lots of people, I don't know how to connect with my family. Am I doing it well? Am I not? And then your regular life can actually change your family life. Then I began to research more and more into this thing called the table. Eating together, making decisions together, getting family rules together, creating a tradition. I'm like, what? Did you know that Daytola, when children eat with you at the table, the likelihood that they will be healthy is 6 times more, that they will learn and use rare words is 6 times more, that they will learn faster how to speak, how to even process their thinking, grades in school go up, teenage pregnancy goes down, gangsterism and drug use, the likelihood goes down. I was in shock. I'm like, what? Just by sitting together at the table at least 5 times in a week. And so I began to research more. Yes. And then I began to think, I began to ask people, I began to think about it, and Funny enough, that's what happened in my family with my siblings. That's how we grew up. We used to sit together and my brothers would burp and would talk and gist and then I realized, oh, no wonder we're still so close. The five of us, oh gosh, we're so close. So I began to put down my experiences, my observations, all of that, and that's how the table. The table is using the table, you will learn the secrets of building strong and connected families. It is such a beautiful tool. It's an easy read. You can get it on Amazon. I'm so glad I wrote this book and that I've kept one for myself. This is really it, how you can use this piece of furniture that you think is ordinary to change, in fact, to revolutionize your family. I remember my son said to us at Christmas, I love this. This is really fun. Sitting together and eating. This is really nice. And I promise you, it's working. And it works. You get all the tidbits of what's happening in their lives. Conversation starters, I put a lot of things there, games, how to reuse, there's just a lot. You can get it on Amazon. It's on Amazon paperback and ebook.
Okay, great. So Ed, get the power of the table. You can get all sorts in there. Basically how eating together. Bolanle already said all the stuff. So get a copy on Amazon, anywhere in the world. You can get a copy. Okay, and that's the beauty about writing a book. Your book can go to countries where you might not necessarily get to.
Absolutely.
If you want to write a book and you're struggling, talk to me.
Yes, go to this, Allah. It worked. It worked. I'm so grateful.
So rounding up, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to manifest their calling, recognize their calling, or who was where you used to be? What would be your advice to such a person? Yeah.
I think first of all is to really sit and be true to yourself. Is to sit and being true to yourself is actually being open to God. It's, Lord, really, who am I? What is that recurring theme in my life?
Yeah.
And then it's to plug into fantastic communities like the Super Working Mom, like doing courses like the Mastermind, which was really intensive. Over 90 days, the things that I was able to do. I mean, from there, we started the live workshops. We started online workshops, we started physical workshops. From there, the book came through. From there, the website is on. If you plug yourself into that kind of community, this kind of community, it challenges you. You realize that actually there are lots of ordinary women embracing their call, wanting to be all that God has called them to be, just like you. And that's already an encouragement. So if you plug yourself into the right community, sit and be true. Lord, what is it about me that continues to recall? What is that thing I don't want to do? I want to be a corporate chick. But what is that thing that continues to recall in my life, and to seek God's face and find mentors? I'm not, when people talk about mentors, I used to be very mentors. And I found that actually, you will be surprised that mentors are really people who just want you to be better.
Exactly.
Once you recognize those people, invest in such relationships, it will take you far. And just be open. Be open, be fluid. Allow yourself to be you. Don't want to be like Daytola or Bolanle or Michelle Obama or whoever it is that you like. Just be you, because everything about you has been wrapped in such a beautiful way to make sure that you reach your own nation and you become all that God wants you to be for the world. That's my advice.
Wow, thank you for sharing that with the ladies. So ladies, you've heard it here. First of all, sit down, and ask God, what is it that He's asking you to do? What is that recurring theme in your life? And then plug into a community that would, that would propel you to do what you've been called to do, because you cannot do it. And so really, if you want to know more about the Super Working Mom Academy or any of the programs that we run, you can check out the website. We'll put all the details, the links below, so you can check it out. There are so many communities out there. So obviously, we would recommend the academy, but however, you need to find
something that works for you.
Yeah, you need to find out, what resonates with you really. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
And it's like that's important because it's not like we're trying to come support you, but it's to say this kind of community is profitable. And especially Christian women, Christian girls, who are amazing. It really is. So
Wow. Thank you, Bolanle. So,
I'm whispering them as
I saw that. So quick, just to round up, obviously I said that before, but yeah, how can people connect with you?
Okay. On my Facebook, Bolanle Enang. On Instagram, I'm Bolanle Enang. I've got a website, www.capacitygrowth.com. Usually I'm on WhatsApp. I do emails also very well. I mean, bolanle.enang@gmail.com also works for me. And I'm very personal and I'm very vulnerable. I'm very open. I don't really have any, people have opened their lives to me. It has blessed me. I pray to be able to be that to other people. So you can reach me on any of those platforms. You can ask Detola
Yeah,
also. Where is Bolanle?
Yeah, we'll put all the details in the link so that people can reach you if they have questions on their own unique families, then they can please reach out to you.
Absolutely.
It's very
I'll be delighted.
yeah.
I'll be delighted.
Awesome. Thank you again, Bolanle, for taking time out to talk to us today. We've reached the end of today's SWM Convos. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've taken something away. One thing I always say to my ladies is, you should take action. Just take one key point. The one point you could take away is reach out to Bolanle or get Bolanle's book because I need help with my family. Just do one action step and then take it from there. So thank you again for tuning in.
Thank you.
If you haven't, please go on our subscribe to our YouTube channel and then click the little bell thing, so that way you can always know when there's a new video up. And also, for those of us that are in the UK, we have a conference coming up in 1 month's time on the 21st of September in London. I would also put the details of that in the description box. And really, what the conference was designed for you in mind. The theme is manifesting God's calling, and it's in line with some of the things we've discussed today. How do you manifest God's calling? I will also be launching my book, which is called Slay Doubts, and it talks about manifesting God's calling. So if you can, it's a free conference. All you need to do is go to our website, www.empoweringmothers.org, and register, because we need to prepare, we need to cater for those who are coming. So again, thank you, and we look forward to connecting with you in 2 weeks' time. Take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.